The brain has two very closely interacting systems, one of which we call the hot system, which is the limbic system, essentially, which is the lower, more primitive brain that evolution gave us, which is hugely protective when you're living in the wild. I mean, it got us to live long enough as a species to develop also a prefrontal cortex, which came much later in evolutionary history, and which is really the young part of the brain. But it's in the prefrontal cortex that we have the ability to do things like control our attention, use our imagination, solve problems, inhibit impulses, inhibit responses, inhibit the stuff that the limbic system is ready to do. What we call the hot system is the heart really of strong, intense emotions, the passions, whether the passions are aggression or whether the passions are sexual, or whether the passions have to do with eating or with fleeing. These are automatic reflexive responses. The reason it does that is because the emotional brain or the hot brain is hugely present biased. That is, it doesn't care about the future. It's not meant to deal with the future. It's meant to deal with the here and now, with what's coming at you, in the savannah. The protective effect of having self-control ability and the protective effect of being able to slow down is that it prevents one from acting out the dispositions that we're pre-programmed to be ready to act out. The prefrontal cortex begins to really get going at 3, 4, 5, 6. By the time it's 7 or so, it's in pretty good shape. I think the most important piece of the story is you need a burning goal. You need to have a driving motivation. It's one thing to have executive skills, and if you don't have them, you can have burning goals, but you're not going to know how to get to them. But the skill set, while vital, is insufficient unless it's lit up. That is, it gives you the engine, but you need the fuel for the engine. And that, I think, comes from motivation. There are, I think, a couple of conditions that are destructive to motivation. I think kids come into the world motivated for mastery. They come into the world curious. They come into the world not like little vegetables, waiting to be reinforced and waiting to be, set on fire or turned on. They're there making experiments. They're there like little scientists trying to figure out what's this and what's that and what can I do and what can't I do. They're full of curiosity. They're full of trying to achieve mastery. The goal in trying to get people to focus on a delayed thing and to go for it and give up an immediate thing that would interfere with it is to have the immediate thing transformed or cooled in a way that takes its pizzazz out of it, that takes its power out of it, and that instead makes the delayed thing hot. The immediate hot temptations are there in your face, and it takes over unless you have something that prepares you to not let it take over. There's a lot of work to show that these very, very simple if-then implementation plans can work wonders, not only with adults, but with very young children. They love it, first of all. I mean, we have lots of studies in which we create temptations that distract them from work and arm them ahead of time with if-then implementation plans so that they know what to do when the distraction comes. And it works beautifully, and they feel great because I did it.